So when I was a teenager into being a young adult, there were really two major movements that really affected my view on masculinity, on what it meant to be a man. And the first one of those was, of course, the I kissed dating goodbye, purity culture kind of mess that I've talked about some in other videos and do plan to tap into further because it definitely has resonated with a lot of people. And the second one is the kind of manly man, sort of toxic masculinity version of Christianity that we have gotten in kind of a number of books, motivational speakers. Wild at Heart was really big in one of the churches that I was a part of that really espoused that, to be a man, you've got to get out into nature and climb mountains and be a warrior and be tough and, kind of that typical manly man kind of thing. And then there was the whole, I don't know if any of you guys remember Eric Ludy, but he was like that warrior poet thing, basically like taking Braveheart and extrapolating way too much from a Mel Gibson movie than anybody should ever extrapolate from a very historically inaccurate Mel Gibson revenge movie. So there was that whole kind of thing in kind of a different way. Paul Washer was very involved in it. He was very much we've got to be warriors for Christ and we've got to stand up, rise up, men of God. Like, honestly, like his speeches were pretty freaking motivational, especially when you put them with like epic music and the right, video clips and stuff. I watched a lot of Paul Washer clips as a teenager, a lot of Eric Ludy, a lot of, Wild at Heart type stuff, a lot of these kinds of really like manly man kinds of preachers who, basically are trying to turn men into these warrior types again, fighting this war that doesn't really exist. Like, we're not really fighting demons, guys. Like, it's not a thing. And it just kind of creates this bravado, this almost kind of goofiness. Like, one of the men's groups that I was involved in as kind of a young man, kind of the end of my teens into my early 20s, was very, very much all about, going and doing these manly things like going paintballing and airsofting and climbing mountains and rappelling off of them and, just doing sort of like the manly man things to somehow bring us closer to God. It's kind of a weird concept when you step back from it, go hunting and gotta kill stuff. And that was never me. I never really resonated with that much. People can have all kinds of reasons why. They can make all kinds of judgments about me. But the fact is, it was never me. It wasn't me. I was not that kind of man. And I know that there's a lot of men who don't resonate with that, who maybe are in the church, maybe were in the church, and we're just not into that. We're not into shooting guns, and we're not into, climbing the mountains and just proving that we're the manliest man. Kind of like the Hamish throwing the rock, going back to Braveheart. Like being the manliest man. Like, some of us just are not. That's not who we are. We're more quiet. We're more the artist types. We maybe, just don't fit that. Honestly, it's weird. Like, it was a really weird phenomenon. I remember in church watching like these kind of like Navy SEAL type like music videos.
I've got the reach and the teeth of a killing machine with a need to bleed you when the light goes green. I'm a one of a kind and I'll bring death to the place you're about to be. Another river of blood running under my feet. I feed on the fear of the devil inside of the enemy faces in my sight. Aim with a hand, shoot with a mind, kill with a heart like Arctic ice.
And like, we'd watch that in church and try and get ourselves all fired up to be like warriors for Jesus. And like, it's really weird because like there's not that kind of battle. Like, it's priming these Christian men to end up kind of in that, Proud Boy type thing, those Trump cults that, almost that, our enemies are the Democrats and, all of this kind of stuff. And like, I saw that from some of those guys. I saw, after 2016, like those people, fell very much into the Donald Trump MAGA cult from all of this kind of like trying to make themselves feel more manly man and whatnot versus, like being themselves. Like we live in the 21st century, and certainly there is a need for some men to be warriors. There is a need for armed forces because there are still evil people in the world, but there's really not a need for the average suburban dad to, go to a men's group on Wednesday night and get all these, delusions of grandeur about being in some massive spiritual war and needing to fight and be super tough and strong and be ready to battle the demons and, stand up for the faith and be ready to die for Jesus in the middle of America. It was weird. And I know a lot of people still think that way. I have a buddy, like we're not as close as we used to be, partly because we've just diverged so much in our belief systems. But he's, very much one of those gun-toting Christians who believes that, the persecution's coming and Christians are being persecuted and suppressed, and like believes that one day he's going to end up, sacrificing his life because some crazy guy is going to come into church with a gun and start shooting people up, and he's going to, pull out his gun and they're going to have this epic gun battle and he's going to die, but he's going to save a whole bunch of people. And it's weird. Like, this is the kind of weird thinking that this develops in men. And it's, I don't know, like, yes, men, we have that biological drive for being combative, for being tough and strong and things like that. Even like, I'm not a big, strong, tough guy, but, even I, get that sometimes. But I'm like, we don't need to feed it with this weird pseudo warrior bowl. It's like, I find it incredibly strange and incredibly toxic. And I think it really feeds into that sort of weird toxic masculinity, because you prime guys up with this aggression to feel aggressive, to feel increasingly like protective, aggressive, and there's no enemy to fight. There's no real enemy to fight, and the way that you battle the demons is just like through prayer and, casting out the demons and declaring the name of Jesus. But you've got them all like primed up as warriors to kick some ass. And it's weird. Like, I think that there is some value in, letting men be men and experience manly things. Like, sure, even though that's not really, my cup of tea in many ways. Like, I'm not a hunter. I absolutely enjoy nature, but I am not like let's go rappelling, let's go skydiving. I do enjoy myself a good paintball or airsoft match. I like paintball more because it hurts more. I know, sounds weird, but you can actually tell you got hit. The thing with airsoft is sometimes it's just like you look down and you see pellets bouncing off you and you don't even feel them. But the thing is, like, it's a weird thing for church. Like, it's a really weird thing for church. It's almost like playing fantasy, like grown men playing little boy is what it feels like. And, I'm not necessarily against that on principle. I'm a Star Wars nerd. You can literally see like Grogu, Baby Yoda just chilling back there on my thing. So it's not like I'm saying all men need to grow up, but I am saying that that's a weird kind of cosplay kind of thing that, like, what are Christian men doing? Like, Christian men could be doing so much more good than running around in the woods playing paintball or, trying to cast out demons that don't exist. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing, and I will catch you all very soon.